I'm so happy to see everyone.
Yeah.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Welcome to it's book club. Welcome to our special edition Pride book club. Pride, also known as Gay Christmas, is a wonderful time where we remember how we got here and celebrate that we are here. And so let's just introduce ourselves and get right into it. I'm Lex. I'm a they them.
I'm Mary. You can use she or they for me. That's fine.
I'm May. I use they, them pronouns.
I'm Paloma. I use she, her.
We're all so excited to be here. I'm here at Vault of Midnight Grand Rapids.
Oh yeah, I forgot that part.
Vault GR.
Vault GR.
Detroit is the coolest one, but that's where I'm from.
Ann Arbor.
So all of us have come together. Vault of Midnight, wonderful comic book store located in Ann Arbor, Detroit, Grand Rapids. Right now we have special Pride shirts available on our site with all proceeds going to LGBTQ Detroit. You can get any flag, any style. If you want a sick crew neck, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's good. And all of those proceeds go to a good cause instead of just being, rainbow capitalism. So to get started, let's talk about all the books we want to talk about, and then we'll just start diving into them. You just go in a circle, and I'll talk about the main two books. I'm sure we'll talk about 160 books today, just because we have so many wonderful creators represented in our stores. So I'm talking about Genderqueer, a book that really affected me and helped me when I moved here, and Stuck Rubber Baby, a very important historical work. And then what did you guys bring to talk about today?
Oh gosh.
I brought
Right.
the Dressmaker.
And yes, classic. I Stone Fruit is a newer book, and this is the big one I brought. But then also, depending on where we get, this book called Our Not So Lonely Planet, travel guide manga, and then On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden.
Amazing.
So, yes.
I changed mine. I have a lot right here because I'm in my house.
Yeah.
But Laura Dean keeps breaking up with me because you get that Mariko Tamaki representation here. And then Heartstopper, which is just so sweet and sincere. And I have a lot of other things not on camera right now.
Perfect.
Awesome. I'm sorry. I'm trying to share our video so people know that we're here, because we are here.
We are.
And it's exciting. Let me just paste this link. And we're good. All right. Also, just wanted to quickly shout out DC Pride, this huge queer special.
Is it good? I haven't gotten to go through it yet.
It's so good. One of the reasons it's so good is our Book of the Month, Magic Fish.
Yeah.
Right here. And they do a wonderful Batwoman story.
Yeah.
That's so cool. You don't see a lot of that young adult book demographic kind of making their way into mainstream comics, and I think that rocks.
It's really cool because they also assemble the JLQ, the Justice League Queer, and it's just
Oh my god.
a couple splash pages of all of them working together. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. And then Marvel's Pride, I believe, is out this week or next week, and they have a whole special as well with their queer creators, and I'm sure there will be an Avengers with a Q. So that'll be exciting. But yeah, I wanted to quickly touch on Stuck Rubber Baby. I stole this book off my dad's bookshelf when I was 13 and read it front to back. I don't recommend that. It's definitely a very adult, heavy book, and I should not have read it. But I was obsessed with graphic novels at the time, and I wanted to know. It's by Howard Cruz, who unfortunately passed away in 2019 to lymphoma before this edition was released. This features an intro by Alison Bechtel, a new end letter from him and his daughter, who the daughter in the book is based off of. But it's about a young man in Alabama who realizes that he's gay after he gets a woman pregnant, and there aren't really words to describe how he feels, and there aren't places to go to talk about how he feels, and so he struggles during the 60s. And then that brings us to the intersectionality of civil rights and queer rights, and how, you know, we wouldn't be here today without Marsha P. Johnson and Martin Luther King and all of these incredible people. And this is a work of fiction, but it's based off his real life and what he experienced coming out and realizing who he was. Has anyone else read this book?
Yes, I read it in preparation for book club, and it took me a while. It's a pretty dense book. Aside from being like heavy, it's like there's like a lot of words. It's like not, you know, and I think it's very important. I think it's an important read. It is a lot, like between the like queer rights and civil rights and all that. It's heavy, but it's really cool. It's very, I don't know, like I like the art style a lot, and like I like was so invested and like I really wanted to like know what happens, and like I'm definitely like interested in like what parts of it were like fiction and what kind of was drawn from his personal life. But yeah, it's a doozy.
Yeah, I mean, the content is... Oh, sorry, Paloma, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was gonna ask Lex if like in his like letter, any writings he like explains why he like blended like fiction and real life, or is it just for the catharsis of it all?
So in his letter, he talks about how most of the things that Toland, the main character, experienced, like major, he experienced himself.
Oh.
He did grow up in Alabama. He did get a woman pregnant and realize he was gay. He did give his daughter up for adoption, who found him not that long ago. When I first read this book, they hadn't even known each other, but by the time this came out, they had gotten to reconnect, and she writes a letter in the back of this book, and it's really special. And so it's kind of a mix. He said that he didn't march with Martin Luther King Jr., but that he was involved in that in Alabama. Just an incredible. It is interesting because he never really got to explain exactly what was and what wasn't. Especially with things that the main character doesn't experience, but side characters do. Because every side character has their moment in this book, one way or another. It's a really heavy read. Again, content warning. Like, it's rough. It's a rough read. Mary, you put it best when you're like, I don't know if I enjoyed it. Like,
I'm kind of a baby, and the way I consume heavy subject matter is in small doses. So like, but yeah, it's difficult, right? Because you're reading this book in 1960s, during like all the civil rights stuff from like a like white man's perspective. So it's like, it's kind of weird in some parts. And I'm like, I don't know. I would like to know if this was your experience or not, if you're just like coming up with stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it was a lot. And it ends like the basically like climax of it, like it's very intense, like you said. Content warning for anything that you can really be triggered by in that. But I think it's important, and I was like, I needed to finish it, but like, will I read it again? Probably not for a while, because it got me feeling weird.
yeah, it really put me off. Like, I knew I had to reread it before we did the book club, and I was like, putting it off, and I was like, it's so, and there are triumphant moments in this book that are happy and great, and queer celebrations and real representation, and it's awesome. But man, the heavy stuff is heavy.
Like, all of the nightclub stuff is like really cool, and I really like all those scenes. Like, and it's just, I don't know, it's all such like it seems like such a warm, welcoming thing, and like it's really cool to get kind of glimpses into like that, especially at that time. Yeah, like you said, there's really cool parts about it. It's just, it's a whole story.
Yeah, and I want to get to someone else real quick, but I do want to say, like, the reason this book is important is because there are no queer rights without civil rights. And then those fights are linked, and that's why this book is so important.
And yeah, it definitely like addresses that like throughout it, like all of the work that's being. And it's interesting, kind of because Tolan, his whole thing throughout is he's kind of, you know, watching from the sidelines, and for a while he's kind of like going along with it because the person he likes is, you know, interested in activism and all that. And then there's like a switch where he kind of starts like being like, oh, like I get it, like I get that these things are all interconnected, and I don't know, that whole part's very like interesting. We lost Paloma.
We did, yeah.
Might have been like a camera thing.
Yeah, she'll be back probably.
She always comes back.
Yeah.
They always make their way back. She might have to be let in though. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, if you see a notification pop up, hopefully we can get Paloma back in. If someone else wants to move on, I would like to like take turns going through everything, so it's not just one person for 20-ish minutes.
Yes.
So whoever would like to talk about a book next, I'd love to hear.
All right, fine, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think Paloma's waiting to be let in.
Yeah, I'm gonna let
Perfect.
Paloma in there. You can
Okay.
go ahead.
Thanks, Al.
okay. All right, Stone Fruit. It's a book by Lee Lay. It might be Lai, I'm not sure. So I apologize for that. It came out a few weeks ago. It is. It's kind of like it's a slice of life sort of story. It is about 3 women. You have what are their names? Ray and her partner Braun, who is trans, and then Ray's sister Amanda. And between Ray and Amanda, they are raising Amanda's child. And then so Braun. So it's like kind of switching between the families, raising this kid, and it's complicated, and it deals a lot with you kind of focus on their relationship with the child, and then you also are focusing on Ray and Braun's relationship, which Braun is dealing with a lot of like depression issues and growing up trans in like a very Christian family and kind of running away from that, and then like also like still wanting to have this relationship with their family, and Ray doesn't understand it really. And then you have the issues with Amanda, who's the mother of the child, like not being sure if it's a good environment for the kid to be around. And it's a whole thing, and it gets really into like the kind of complex emotions of just like, I don't know, being in a relationship with someone who's depressed, and also like how smart and like tuned into like real life, like, you know, kids are, and how like they're not dumb, and how they understand stuff that's going on. And it's, I don't know, it's really cool. And then it's kind of sad, but it has like a kind of like nice ending. But yeah, I don't know. And the art is like beautiful. Let's see if we can, I don't know. It's kind of like this. Yeah, I don't know. Have any of you read Stone Fruit since it came out?
I was scared too because it sounded really emotional.
Yeah,
I
it
wasn't
is.
ready.
I respect that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I think it's really, it's cool. And I'm also in that kind of late 20s, mid-late 20s thing that some people experience, where they're just like really infatuated with how cool kids are. And so like, I don't know, you just see this kid kind of like bring out like the best in everybody. And then you also like, I don't know, have these discussions about how like when you're raising a kid, like, you know, it's the mom is struggling with her sister, and like how she's like, well, you want to be around just to be like the fun aunt all the time and do all the fun stuff, but like, you know, sometimes you have to do the responsible stuff, and even when you're feeling bad, you still have to take care of, you know, this, you know, child and all that stuff. And then there's all this bouncing around with Bron like talking to their sister, because they do end up leaving and like going home to try to connect with their family again, and like their younger sister's like upset with them for just leaving, and it's a whole thing. It is very emotional, but like there's a lot of like closure at the end, and kind of like realizing that like sometimes things in life don't work out, and they work out in weird ways, and it's okay, and there's always going to be your family and your friends and the kids and stuff that are like, everything's going to be okay, which I like. So yeah, I recommend this book a lot. It's cool if you like stuff that's going to make you feel stuff. And yes, the art's really cool too. And they also, Lele has like, they do a lot of funny comics on Instagram too, and I recommend that. We have a comment that says, I liked a quick and easy guide to they, them pronouns.
Yeah.
There's a whole series of those books that are really cool. Ding, ding, ding. Queer and trans identities. There's another one too, isn't it?
There's two more.
Two more. They're coming out in a box set.
Yeah. Oh, an easy guide to consent. That's the other one.
Consent.
Oh, yeah.
And
There we
Sex and
go.
Disability, yeah.
Yeah,
They're incredible. They're incredible. And what's cool is they're all done by a creator who also has other work. So They Them Pronouns is done by Archie Bongiovanni, who does Grease Bats and did a queer flagging scene. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's all Archie, and
Cool.
they're so great.
That's awesome. I really like those books too, because like, I don't know, I've had a number of kind of like older, like parent age, like people come into the shop, and they'll like, they think it's really cool. They're like, oh, I want to understand my kid better. And they will like buy those. And I'm like, that's the coolest stuff in the world. Like, heck yeah.
I got my parents the they them pronouns one, and when I saw them last week, they brought it up. You know what I mean? Like it really does bridge that gap, and they don't treat you like you're stupid. They're like, hey, we get it. You just want to be better. Here you go. And the art's always super cute.
Oh yeah, we love that.
Like, they're so great, and the box set comes out in August, I believe.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Who's up next?
Paloma, did you want to go? Or
I guess I'll go while I'm actually on the screen.
Sounds fair.
Sorry,
Yeah.
this area of Grand Rapids just has bad internet, and it has
It's
to
true.
be where I live.
It's true.
I'm going to talk about Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me first. It's written by Mariko Tamaki of This One Summer and Skin fame, and she's writing detective comics right now. She's got like, I feel like another gay DC book coming out. I'm not.
She's
sure.
writing like a lot, like of
Yeah.
DC stuff.
She won Best Writer at the Eisners for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's just the best.
Oh, I'm sorry. What? Oh,
Last year?
Last year.
Oh yeah, sorry. No, there's no women for Best Writer this year.
Nope, none.
That's another book club. It's okay.
Yeah, we'll do that one later.
But yeah, she's truly an icon in like the graphic novel and now like single issue comic scene. And then the art is by Rosemary Valero O'Connell, who maybe also won an Eisner last year.
I think, yeah, she did Don't Go Without Me though, which
Yeah.
I would like to touch on after this section, or at after everyone goes, because that I wish I brought. It's really good.
Yeah.
But this is just, I really like with graphic novels right now where Laura Dean is not the main character, but is a catalyst for a lot of like the drama, and she's like the most popular person in school. She's very much out, and I like that queer people get to be out and popular, and honestly kind of dicks and rude. But we follow Freddie, who's just like ensorcelled by Laura Dean, and when you're in high school you kind of can only focus on so many things, and so when you're just focusing on your not so great girlfriend, you kind of start to be a not so great friend when your friends really need you. And The art is just really, really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The characters are just like super relatable because none of them are perfect. Because why would any human being or a teenager be perfect? As we're all learning, and we
Mm-hmm.
see like Freddie be like, "Laura Dean, you're not treating me great," and we see like self-respect. We see, "Oh my God, I haven't been a good friend to like my best friend," and like apologizing, and it's just following queer characters like being themselves, and the queerness isn't the drama of the story or like the problem in the story. It's just them, and I really like media like that.
Yeah. Like, because I mean, there's tons of good stories that are about like coming out or like dealing with your queerness, but like it's very nice to like have books that just like this is about relationships and friendships and stuff. And
Yeah.
I mean, the people are queer, and that's just like part of the story. It's nice. Yeah, that book rules. It's really
It was
pretty.
like announced eons ago, and someone like heard about it and like was waiting to be contacted when it finally was solicited for years. And I was like, this book is never gonna come out, but it's here. So it has some infamy, and also it's amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, we're starting to finally get into like an era where instead of every character being a gimmick, a token character, we're finally getting into, my favorite comic book lesson is sometimes you're the a-hole. Like, I like hearing that, and it's nice that we're finally getting those types of stories where like we can be flawed, we can learn, we can still grow as people, and instead of always being on display or observed.
Yeah.
Or learned from, you know what I mean? Like, just let us exist.
Yeah, I feel like in a lot of like queer stories, a lot of the problem comes from kind of an outside homophobic point, and it's nice to see representation of like our relationships aren't always like the healthy salvation from like our trauma. Like sometimes like we have unhealthy relationships, and like it's good to see representation of those that like represents them, but also like says that this is not an example of a healthy relationship as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
It's just it's nice to get all the stories that you get from like the hetero perspective, but from a queer perspective,
Yeah,
and all the stuff that like encompasses that, it's cool.
Yeah, if I could just real quick, the DC Festival of Heroes that released last month for AAPI month has a story about Black Lightning's daughter and Grace Choi dating, and it's a very simple. They're going out to dinner with their superhero story, and it's so sweet, and it's just perfect. They're not their flawed relationship, like typical problems, meeting the dad for the first time, like just a great story. That it could have been in either, anthology, but it just works really, really well.
Yeah. The anthologies are pretty cool. And I feel like they kind of like take a lot of, I don't know, you see a lot of kind of, like you have the people that are like always writing and always drawing for Marvel and DC, and then when they do their anthologies, they kind of like pick up smaller people a lot of the time, and I think that's really cool. Just check out in those. They're always worth reading. Almost always.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. May, would you like to go?
Yeah, I'm talking about Prince and the Dressmaker. This is probably the like most light book that we've talked about so far, because it's I don't think it's quite historical fiction. I don't think it actually takes from any places in history, but it's in the historical period. It's about a prince who comes vacationing, and he has this secret nightlife where he goes out in, it's either drag or it's just him experimenting with his gender. It's not quite clear in the book what it is. It's just up in the air. And he meets a seamstress who then makes all of his like princely outfits that he has to wear, and then all of the like beautiful gowns that he goes out and he wears at night, and his kind of other persona or the extension of himself that is Lady Marmalade, who is the one who presents feminine, ends up becoming quite this character around town. She just has like these beautiful gowns. She's like very glamorous. All the ladies want to dress like her. And so she's famous and the prince is famous, and it's a story about balancing that life. It's a story about like friendship. A nice thing about this book is that there's not really necessarily a romance plot in it. It's just kind of purely about friendship and family and exploring gender and that kind of angle. Yeah, it's really good. I don't know how much we're allowed to spoil the books we're talking about, but the ending, like it is a society that has traditional gender roles, and that deems feminine gender roles as lesser somewhat, and so it is like kind of a problem for him to be doing this. But I would say the ending is handled very well. It's handled like he's accepted by his family. They don't quite understand, but they do still like accept him. There's this great scene where his father does like drag with him in a runway. It's so good.
Mm-hmm. It was so good.
Yeah,
I had to read the book in like one sitting. Like I couldn't put it down. I was just like, this is incredible. You like mentioned it, and there's like a point like in the book. I can't remember like exactly how it's worded, but he's like, you know, I do like being a prince. I like doing this, but I also really like dressing up and like, you know, going out and doing this stuff. And I like that they don't like put like a specific like sort of label on whatever it is that they are, you know, feeling. And I think it's a really cool like representation of like you can be a spectrum of things, and you can, you know, like all sorts of things, and you don't just have to be whatever, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I read this book when I was like still questioning my gender, and I think it resonated a lot just because of the absence of labels. You can really just read this and relate it to yourself or others around you or whatever, however you really. It's a book that leaves you a lot of room to interpret however you want to interpret it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jen Wang. She always just crushes. I mean, she crushes it. Just crushes it all the time. In real life is also like a great political commentary. But I do love the lack of labels, and I love that the main character struggles with accepting themselves for accepting them. You know what I mean? And they show that just a little bit without it being like the center of attention of the story, and like really focusing on the lack of labels and the openness and just. Why not? Like, why would you keep someone from doing something that they love doing? Like, it doesn't make any sense, you know? And yeah, it was one of the first things I read after moving to Grand Rapids, and like, just so powerful. Just, again, read it in one sitting, nonstop, could not put it down.
Yeah, it made me emotional. And it's like, but it's like an emotional in that like, not in the way some of the books we've read are like heavy throughout, but in that way where it's like, oh, there's a climax and it's intense, and then it's got like a really sweet, touching ending, and I like that. I like those books a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, definitely a must read. Do we loop around again?
Let's loop around again. I actually really want to talk about genderqueer by Maya Kobabe. There is, if you go back on Vault of Midnight's, I think it was Facebook or Instagram, there's a picture of me with this book and like Rain Clark, Casey Nowak, just like a bunch of trans power books. And I'm standing there and like I wasn't out yet. And like very obviously a coming out post, like when you look back on it. And Maya actually commented on that. And this book, like, it's a memoir, so it's, you know, it's an autobiography about Maya's life. And the way they just figured it out, you know, like it's not. I'm not saying it's flat, but it's not built like a traditional story where you're constantly going up and up and up down. It's just this is life. This is one of the most real books I've ever read. I found myself just like jaw agape when, you know, they're saying things that I've thought or said out loud before, and I'm just like, oh, that's how I feel. Just astounding piece of work, and the art and everything about it. This is the scene where they're cutting their hair for the first time and like really experiencing themselves. Just like such a powerful book. Winner, it's a Stonewall Honor book. I don't know if you can see that sticker. Just an incredible piece of work. Have y'all read this?
Yes.
I'm bad. I haven't gotten to it yet, but it's on the never-ending list.
Yeah.
I thought it was honestly one of the best like graphic novel memoirs I've ever read. This like the structure, the approachability. But yeah, no, it's a phenomenal memoir where Maya's the author's name.
Yeah.
It's just very vulnerable. I don't know. It's truly a masterpiece.
And it's always like between printings, so it's also kind of difficult sometimes. Like in different seasons of the year, it can be like, "Where's this book?" And then you have like 20 of them. But this, if you can read this book, top of my list. Like you will learn something and you will feel something, and it's just nice to be a part of someone's life like this. Like incredible.
Yes. Cool. Okay. I have to. On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden, and honestly, anything by Tilly Walden. I think it was probably like before I started working at Vault, like I'd pick up like Saga and East of West or something, like I wasn't like huge into stuff, and I think it was like the first like kind of thick like singular graphic novel that I picked up, and it's a whole journey, and it's like it's about this girl who gets a job on a spaceship, and that they go around and they repair old space buildings, and the story's told via present day, and then also going to flashbacks to her in boarding school and her like forming this relationship with this other girl, and then back to present day, and they kind of it's her slice of life, kind of figuring out life on the ship with her sort of like found family / co-workers, and then they eventually are trying to like reunite her with her like high school like whatever girlfriend partner, but it's just this like huge sprawling like space like love story / like it's very like quiet sometimes also, and it's I don't know, let's see if I can find a good page. It's really cool though. Tilly Walden's really great at like imagining like these big beautiful worlds. Like she builds like on a Sunbeam in this world there are no men, and that's like not something that is ever really addressed, but it's just like part of the world building, and that's really cool. And there's like I don't know, one of the people on the spaceship, they use they them pronouns, and that's like super chill and casual. And there's some drama involving that with like some sort of like corporate person on the job. But yeah, I don't know, Tilly Walden's like it was one of the first books I picked up, and I was like, this is just like pure like sci-fi romance stuff, but it's like gay, and it's like I don't know, it like was really sweet for me to read. The same with kind of like Are You Listening? I think her most recent book that came out, which deals with kind of dealing with like trigger warning, like sexual trauma, but also just like I don't know, it's very like liminal, and there's some like slight surrealism and stuff throughout it. It's all very weird, but all of her catalog's like very queer, and I would read anything by Tilly Walden if you want that good gay stuff. And her art's just like beautiful. It's very like it's like flat colors, and it's very simple, but she like is so imaginative, and she really just like builds these like really detailed, beautiful panels. It's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I really loved Honest Sunbeam for everything that you said, but it's so rare to get like a space odyssey, like sci-fi piece that's like
Mhm.
non-men and queer.
Mhm.
It's just really
Yeah.
cool, but then like also space epic, but a high school slice of life.
Yeah. It tackles a lot. It's so pretty. Like she'll draw these panels where they're like looking out of like this like space boarding school, and it's just all these like stars and these like big beautiful buildings. And she also like the spaceships are like shaped like fish, almost like a koi or like a betta fish or something. Like, and it's so pretty, and it's such like you said, it's like I like. Yeah, even outside of gay stuff, like I love sci-fi, space, like all that, fantasy stuff, and this is just more catered to me, and I love that.
It's a great book. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of just like you want it on your shelf and you want to read it constantly. It's so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she rocks. She's great at making books. Cool. Would anybody else like to share another book?
Yes. You know what? Yes, I'll do Heartstopper.
Ooh.
It's set in England high school, and it follows this boy named Charlie Spring. He's at an all boys school, and he is the only known gay boy at the school, and he was outed. So we don't see him being outed. We just see like him the following year, kind of like being aloof, but people like him and being like, God, that was hell. And he joins the boys' rugby team because they're down a person, and he kind of like hits things off with like the superstar Nick Nelson, who's just like really lovable and kind. And they get really close, and Charlie's friends are like, dude, you can't fall for a straight guy. And then Nick, the popular guy's like, I'm feeling things. And it's just really a cute like journey of them falling for each other, and then Nick, the popular guy, being like, what do I feel comfortable with? Like, what's like a good label for me? And like are deciding like where am I at? I've never thought about my sexuality before. And it is so charming.
I love the charm. I need to read it. It's also one of those books that seems to keep going out of print, so it's hard to get your grubby paws on. It looks really good.
Yeah, there's 3 volumes out right now, and the 4th one I think is like September.
Ooh, I didn't realize the 4th one was already on its way out. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's out in England or will be soon, and then the American printing is not until like September or something. So if you don't mind hues in your color, you could order it, I guess.
Well, I do, but
yeah, I don't recommend falling for the straight guy. That doesn't work out.
Welcome to the advice corner.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a little bubble right here. It's like rule 1.
You keep it in the books. You stay for the dating advice.
Exactly. We do it all here.
Cool. May, do you have another book?
Yeah. This one's kind of similar to Heartstopper. It's Check Please. I unfortunately don't have a printed copy with me because it also goes out of print quite often. But similar story in an American college setting. A kid comes in and he did hockey as a kid and he did not really vibe with it, and so he did ice skating instead. But he got into college on a hockey scholarship, and so he ends up joining the hockey team. Similar situation falls for a guy who's not quite sure what the guy's labels are, but they end up like having feelings for each other. It's a very I I don't like slow burn romances traditionally. I like them to just get right to it.
Yes,
This one,
immediately.
slow burn romance I can get behind. I really liked it. Yeah, the main character is just very charming, very into baking. It's like very slice of life. Like it's, I think first and foremost a slice of life, and then a romance. Secondly, like you get just a lot of snippets of him hanging out with the other guys on the hockey team. He's into baking, and so you get a lot of snippets of him baking in there. It's just like a very wholesome read. It's like, yeah, and if you're into like any books about sports, it has stuff about sports, which is another thing I'm not traditionally like. This book has so many pins set up that I thought I wouldn't like it, but it just, I loved it.
I really want to read that one.
Yeah.
I like sports and romance. I don't like.
Oh, yeah.
I like sport romance.
Sport.
Exactly a sports romance.
I mean, we're in Michigan, so like hockey is super popular, you know.
It's good. It's
I
a
think
good
they
thing.
mentioned Michigan in it at some point. I forget. He might be. No, they mentioned Michigan at some point. I think the guy he likes is from Michigan or something like that. But we get a shout out in there. So
You can't talk about hockey without talking about the Red Wings.
yeah,
You can't do it. So, yeah, I think if we have any quick books we want to go over, and then we'll do our whole Vault of Midnight spiel. I kind of want to show off some art from DC Pride. So if you guys just want to go off for like 5 more minutes, and I'll just be showing art. That's
Cool.
fun.
I have to bring up this book, Our Not So Lonely Planet Travel Guide.
So good.
It is, by technicality, a boy love manga. The way I pitch it to people is it's like watching the Travel Channel, but through the lens of a boy love manga. It's these two boyfriends, like they make like a deal, like, okay, if we can travel around the world together, we'll get married when we come back. And they travel to 3 different countries, and one of them is kind of insecure about being in like a public open gay relationship, and then the other one's like very loud, eccentric, bisexual, dude, whatever. But it's like really sweet, and you get to they meet like other queer people traveling around, and you get to see lots of like cool food and cool like monuments, and they're all very like, I don't know, cool like gangly boys, and it's really sweet and charming. There's only 1 volume so far. It just came out a few months ago, so if you're interested, it's the perfect time to hop in.
I think we're getting the second one soon.
Excellent.
July soon.
Oh wow, I can't wait. Yeah, it's awesome, and you just want to see like how their relationship goes, and I just also want to see them travel to more places and learn more about food and culture. It's awesome.
Spoilers for question.
Wow, yay! I like it.
Our Harley Ivy story.
I would love to get an official Harley Ivy romance
Did you guys?
thing.
Stephanie Phillips came out last week, I think, or the other day.
Yeah.
And she's writing Harley Quinn, so.
Oh, yeah.
And they've been teasing Poison Ivy in Detective and regular Batman, and James Tynion. I gotta say, we have a
That's
queer
the thing, though.
Batman
They're always
writer.
teasing it. They're always like, oh.
Yeah, we have a queer Batman writer, right?
Yeah.
We have Mariko Tamaki on Detective Comics.
Mm-hmm.
We just have like Batman is just like one of the queerest
Batman's
books right now. Ghostmaker, who's their new character, is just a bisexual Batman. Like the story opens up with him getting off his private jet, where he was just leaving this couple. It's like, see you guys later. Like, it's so good.
Mm-hmm. Any more quick books from?
The other one I had was a BL, but I have another one that. This is the last one of this series called Avant-Gardes, and it's about an art school, an art college that has a basketball team, and it's your classic ragtag team coming together to play basketball. And the main character has like a chip on her shoulder because she was a basketball star or something, but I think she due to anxiety, kind of like flubbed her last season.
Mm-hmm.
Just couldn't fit in anywhere, and it's just a fun time. I like when like the elements of like sports anime and manga like translate over to like Western comics, and then Western comics typically just makes it outright gay. But yeah, I just really like
cool.
basketball.
Yeah. We got a question. Will the books today be listed on the website? We can probably make that happen. That'd be cool. We should.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Currently, the web store has like a Pride, should have like
Yeah.
a big Pride banner that leads into the Pride section. And I would assume all of these books are in there, as long as we like have them in stock. Like we said, a couple of them are in between printings currently, but yeah.
Cool.
My homie Catman has a pinup in this book.
Wow.
Impressive.
He's got some thighs, I'll tell you what.
Catman's great. Oh, Sophie Campbell has a pinup in this.
Oh, that's cute. What the
Sophie
heck?
Campbell is doing Ninja Turtles right now, which is huge.
It's
Co-writing.
really good. Like I'm not like following each issue, but I read like the first like 10 or whatever that she was writing, and like it's really good. Like
So good. I love Sophie so much. Okay, I'm just gonna show off the Justice League Queer, and then I'm gonna put this book away.
Cool.
All right. Well, we're getting spam, which is great. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll just do our spiel, and we'll get out of here.
We made it almost all the way through without it. So
It was nice. We were doing all right, you know.
Yeah.
Caleb, if you're watching, if you could do some moderation, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So once again, this is Vault of Midnight. Locations in Ann Arbor, Grand Rapids, Detroit, right downtown. We've got Pride shirts available. All of the proceeds go to LGBTQ Detroit. Thanks for joining us, talking about queer spaces. And remember that Vault of Midnight is a safe space. We have tons of Pride displays if you're looking for that good gay. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, we have. There's so many more books than anything we talked about on here, and we're certainly all happy to help you find them if you come by the store.
Heck yeah.
Love you too, everyone in the comments.
Love you guys. Whew, all right. Well, guys, that is. That's the whole.
So
thing.
great to see everyone.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll be able to do this again soon. We have another book club at the end of the month for Magic Push, which is 15%
another
off.
good gay book.
Oh, so good, so good.
Oh, now God is in the comments. That's cool. Sorry.
God is gender fluid, so have a good one, y'all. Get vaccinated.
Bye.
Bye.
Do we? Okay.